Before the break, I wasn't running on fumes, as that popular saying goes. I was running on nothing. I felt like a car sputtering on the highway, and at that point, pulling over was no longer an option. Um, this year, normally I would take, time off during the holidays, but normally it's for traveling, hanging out with friends and family, things like that. But then I would be kind of working, like doing remote work during that time. But something happened earlier this month, well, earlier in December, that forced me to absolutely stop. Not slow down, but to actually stop. And I ended up reverting my remote working time into just full-time PTO. I can't work at all. So I was able to take 2 weeks fully off. And when I look back, it wasn't a luxury break as much as I wish it was. It was actually very necessary for my life, no hyperbole. So what ended up happening, I went up to Delaware for 2 weeks to visit my best friend. She's more like a sister to me after 25 years of friendship. She's a sister at this point. But we weren't focused on like our work jobs. We spent time on personal projects, some light consulting work we were trying to wrap up before the end of the year, and then planning for 2026. Normally, when we're together, we're either traveling at the end of the year and ringing in the New Year's together or the holidays together, and then reflecting on the past year and then planning for the upcoming year. And so we still did that. That was still very normal and comforting to do. But I will say the biggest difference is that the pace was slower, quieter, and intentionally unscheduled. But I would say during that time of being intentionally unscheduled, there was 5 things that kind of resonated with me during this time. The first one was that my body actually did not trust rest at first. And that was very surprising because I felt, again, I was running on nothing. And it took days for my body to adjust to life without a schedule. Um, I didn't know what to do without urgency telling me where to be, what to do, all the things, and rest really felt unfamiliar to the point it actually felt suspicious, and so I had to connect with my mind and frequently tell it, "No, girl, you're actually on vacation, there's nothing that you have to do, everything can wait till you get back after the new year." The best example that I can give of this is, say, if you were a student and you had just graduated and your time was mainly full of writing papers, researching, doing homework, and then all of a sudden you graduate and you're like, huh, I have all this time. Why do I have this time? Why do I feel suspicious that I have time? I must be forgetting something. And that is exactly how I felt during the 2 weeks. So the second thing that I had realized was that productivity had become my default identity, which is so cringe. I hate that so much. Um, Even when I wasn't working, my brain was seeking for output. Um, I didn't realize productivity was so embedded in my daily life that releasing it felt like losing structure, quite honestly. But I realized I wasn't just resting from the work, I was starting the work of beginning to untangle who I was without productivity being the center of it. So that's still a thing I'm still working through, but I really came to the forefront during my time off. The third thing was rest isn't the same as stillness. I wasn't lying around doing nothing. So I'll be quite transparent with that. I was creating, thinking, writing, planning, but it was actually fun. It was engaging. It was it was joyful. But I realized it was that way because I was doing it without pressure. A lot of those same things that I do it for my job, for work, and many times I'm under the gun, I have a deadline, and there it just needs to be done, and so sometimes it starts off as fun, but then it gets really tedious, and it's like, "Okay, this is no longer fun." But during that time, being able to create, think, write, plan, um, I felt like I was in my space of genius just lit up again, and it reminded me of why I do what I do. But the difference, again, with the pressure and without the pressure, I realized that difference, it mattered more than I had realized. The fourth thing that came to mind during these 2 weeks is that my sleep was still broken, but my nervous system wasn't. And so allow me to explain this a little bit, but I since the beginning of December until now, I have averaged about 3 hours of sleep a night. On paper, sounds absolutely terrible, but ironically, during those 2 weeks, I felt more rested than I had in the past month. I felt reinvigorated, engaged in what I was doing in those 2 weeks of just doing nothing, at least nothing related to productivity, I would say. Um, but it just showed me how much I think exhaustion was not just tied to stress or not just tied to sleep, but just stress in general, because I really did think the exhaustion was just affecting my sleep, but I think it's also tied to stress as well. And lastly, towards the end of my vacation, I started thinking about what does a life or a new normal look like for me? I know it's not going to be perfect. I know it's not gonna be a dramatic overhaul as much as I would love it to be. I always see those commercials saying, "Oh, disappear for a month or 2," and I'm like, "I don't have the capital nor the time to just disappear for 2 months." So for me, it would have to be a more gradual practice of implementing daily, weekly, monthly tips or habits. But, um what does that look like? What does that rhythm look like? Because I know I can't keep doing what I was doing before. It's not sustainable. Again, I don't want to crash out from trying to keep up with that pace. And so that is when I started asking myself, what if my life didn't need to be optimized, just supportive? And that question right there, I it was revolutionary to me. As simple of a question as that was, what if my life didn't need to be optimized, just supportive? That's exactly what built this YouTube channel. And so, again, I look forward to sharing more about how I'm building a life that fits my new normal as I develop it. But in the comments, if you were able to take a break for the holidays, let me know, um, what did your time off reveal to you? Did it tell you anything about your pace, sleep, priorities, relationships? Just curious. Let me know in the comments. I look forward to reading and responding to all of them. And if you're new here, welcome. If not, welcome back. My name is Moni, and if you enjoyed this, please like, share, and subscribe. And I make videos every day, so I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.